Coming up, a brand new house on a problematic piece of land.
I'm sure there are a lot of people that are thinking, I can't believe somebody actually bought that lot and is trying to do what we're trying to do here.
Crews will load up the landscape with a soccer field, a basketball court, and a water feature that really brings the wow by going over, around, and under parts of the house. But everything's up in the air when the homeowners want to bring a piece of their old yard with them.
I'm wondering if this is going to work or not.
I'm Justin Cave, and this is Groundbreakers. You want challenges? On today's project, we got them. We're talking hundreds of tons of concrete and stone, thousands of gallons of water, a buried gas line that supplies half the country, and moving an entire house. Kind of. It's going to be a big one, and it starts right now.
This lot in particular had a lot of issues. You know, it had a drainage easement running under it. It had a 50-foot wide gas line easement, so most people from the street probably said no way.
That was a deterrent, but
Absolutely.
You guys saw some value.
What we'd like to wind up here is some outdoor space for the kids. You know, our goal is to keep them out of the house. We don't want them sitting inside watching TV all the time. And so we wanted to create a soccer field out here to get them some exercise.
Stephen Henry is the landscape architect on staff with the company building the home. So he's been thinking about this tricky lot since before construction began 18 months ago. What are the stipulations? What can you and can't you do on top of this easement?
We can come into the easement with planting and hardscape with the understanding that if they were to come through here and maintain this gas pipe and tear up the hardscape or the planting, that the homeowner's on the hook to get that replaced.
So a soccer field is almost perfect for this easement.
Oh, definitely.
Hardscapes on the easement could mean some expensive demolition if the gas company ever needs to access the underground lines. But covering it with grass is a more cost-effective alternative that will make it attractive and give David and Rhonda's girls a place to get their kicks. But soccer won't be the only game in town. The plan also shows a basketball half-court behind the garage for David and his buddies. But not all of the playing in this yard will be about sports.
Their grandfather built them a playhouse, and we're going to be bringing that over from where we live now currently.
My dad's a real craftsman, so he really did it up nice. Obviously, it's more than just your average playhouse. About a 10 by 10 footprint, little playhouse, cedar shake siding, cedar deck, rail, gutter.
What?
So yeah, it's pretty nice. And
Heat.
Heat?
Oh yeah, heat, got power.
Electricity, running water?
Yeah, you could even put a TV in there. It has cable
Really?
hookup. So.
Sounds better than the place that I'm living in right now.
You know,
better
I
watch
don't know
out.
where you're living. But
I thought you wanted to get the kids out of the house, so they just go from the house to the playhouse.
there you go, right.
I see a beautifully detailed waterfall and stream on this plan. Tell me a little bit about it.
The basin of the water feature starts on the high side of the wall, which is existing. And as you're coming down the drive, you know, you get a suggestion of what's to come.
So it's actually going to come over this wall?
Absolutely.
Right here?
And we're going to modify this wall to create a channel where this water is going to come through and sheet flow down to another basin.
Nice.
And then that's where you start the stream that's going to continue along the side of the drive and the side of the patio. We're going to have a couple stone footbridges that you're going to be able to cross that stream
Very cool.
in two areas. And then it's going to continue on underneath this breezeway into the final basin in the backside.
So when you come out on this deck here, you're sitting by the fireplace over here, it's going to be like you're looking over a stream in the mountains.
Definitely, it's gonna provide some relaxing sounds. I think it's gonna be a nice space for them to come entertain or just unwind in the evening.
This is almost set back in the woods, so you're going to try to use a lot of woodland and shade-tolerant plants back here.
We have all that existing vegetation, the tall canopy that we want to keep in place, but David and Rhonda were specific that they wanted to clear some of that out so the kids could run around and play back there and be close to nature. So where we have removed plant material, we're going to add back in more of a woodland type of feel.
I'm sure there are a lot of people that are thinking, I can't believe somebody actually bought that lot and is trying to do what we're trying to do here. But we had a vision. We could see the potential of the lot and the size of the backyard and some of the things we wanted to incorporate in, like the basketball court, like the soccer field. This lot was ideal for doing that on. And even though some people may have been scared of it, we saw the vision of how it would work.
First up, concrete. The main driveway will be a 4-inch slab, about ankle deep for the guys. Inside a large square inset, they're pouring less concrete, leaving room for a field of decorative pavers. As the concrete starts to set up, the crew uses rubber stamps to transfer a pattern onto the concrete surface for a look that's more visually interesting than just plain concrete. The next day, Stephen is on site with Waterfall builder Tony Sargent. Work on the waterfall hasn't even started yet, and there are already problems.
The thing that I'm looking for is grade change. We don't have any. We're actually low here, having to go up the hill and back down. The other thing is we're limited on the low end on how much water we can do on the pond and stuff. So I want to enlarge that if we can, because if this thing ever turns off for some reason, the bottom area has to retain the water, and we don't want to like flood the neighbor if we had a big rain.
Right. But the newly built landing that connects the deck to the garage will make it tough to build what Tony has in mind.
In order to get a tractor on the other side or do what we need to do, I was going to recommend that we just go ahead and take that apart, just that one setting where the pond's going to go, dig that through there and put it in like it should be, and then come back and rebuild that little section.
But that's not the only bit of brand new construction being sacrificed.
Before the water feature can come through this wall, the brick has got to come down. It's a shame, it was a nice wall, but it's for the sake of a greater good, the new water feature. Just another brick in the wall. Or in this case, another brick out of the wall.
When we come back, the specific formula for creating a natural waterfall.
What we try to do is we try to use a 1-to-1 ratio. That way, the big ones don't look big without some little ones beside it.
And as the workers get rocking, the water feature multiplies.
Yesterday there wasn't even a master plan in order. Now we have 8 waterfalls.
All along this gas easement back here has kind of been viewed as a challenge, but today it's actually working in our favor. Now the concrete truck can just back all the way down to where the basketball court's going, and it doesn't have to be pumped from the road. If it had to be pumped, that'd be an added expense, or heaven forbid, it had to have been wheelbarrowed. It's really a lifesaver for these guys.
Even though David's basketball court will eventually be covered with the tile sports floor, it's critical that this slab be perfectly level to make the playing surface safe.
You've heard about grabbing the bull by the horns. That's what these guys are doing today, except they're doing it with the bull float. And this is a tool that you use to finish the concrete. You need a long one because we've got a big basketball court here. So basically, he's pushing it forward and all the weight's on the back end of the float. Get it nice and smooth, just like glass. And then he's going to twist the handle like that, and it's going to transfer the weight to the front when he pulls it back. So you get a nice smooth surface and a beautiful basketball court.
Meanwhile, pond builder Tony Sargent is worried about having enough fall in the waterfall. The problem? The existing grade is too flat to create a dramatic downhill flow of water. Tony's idea is to create a raised pool at the base of the wing wall. That will give him the extra height he needs to make the waterfall the rest of the way to the lower pond.
We've got the waterfall coming through the shrubs, got a couple of nice boulders. Everything in here is raised up a little bit. And if I've got to put up some kind of wall, instead of it looking like a curb stop, why don't I go ahead and make you a sitting wall here?
Okay.
If I'm going to do that, then I could raise this a little bit and at least give me some more fall down through here to at least have a little rippling in the water.
Right.
The next day, a mini excavator is hauling boulders over to the lower pond and setting them in place.
Yesterday there wasn't even a master plan in order because when they started it, there were still questions about how they should actually do it. You know, coming over the wall wasn't going to give you enough sound, and it wasn't actually going to be a waterfall. It was just going to be one continuous drain. That's all it was going to be. So they've changed it. He's altered it quite a bit, actually. Now we have 8 waterfalls.
Tony, you use a lot of different sized rocks in your ponds, all the way from big accent boulders to small river rounds to egg rock.
Right. What we try to do is we try to use a 1-to-1 ratio, like 1 ton, 1 ton, 1 ton.
Right.
That way, the big ones don't look big without some little ones beside it.
Rhonda spots some big ones of a different kind 2 weeks later when a truckload of plants pulls up.
Wow, another beautiful day. Look at all the trees that just arrived. They're big, they're beautiful, and they're ready to be placed in the ground. They've moved the dumpsters out of the way. The guys are working hard. We've had lots of rain. The ground is soft. We're ready to roll. Looking good.
It's a struggle to maneuver the supersized trees around the job site, but the crew eventually gets each one to its new home. Big trees like this are a significant investment in any landscape. To better your odds of success, make sure you're planting them the right way. Check out my video at hgtv.com/groundbreakers for tips on this and many other landscape topics. Plants are getting this construction site looking more and more like a real landscape. But soon, Mother Nature threatens to wash out some of that progress.
All my crew's quitting. They're all going home. Calling it a day. The rain has set in. Took over. This is what I'm talking about. Another day of torrential downpours. My guys had to quit working. Again, it's a muddy mess. We're full. We have pools in the front yard. The trees are saturated. It's a disaster. I'll show you the new addition is the pool in the front. It's horrible. This is where the pavers go in the driveway. And it's full of water.
When we come back, moving the kids' playhouse proves to be a sky-high challenge.
I'm wondering if this is going to work or not. Can he pick it up without it swinging over and smashing into the side of the house?
But setting it back down causes even more problems.
Uh-oh. Pick it up.
How much damage will be done as the homeowners watch helplessly? Nearing the end of a long build, homeowners David and Rhonda are finally carving some play space out of the woods behind their new home.
Wow, now this looks different. This is where the playhouse is going, where before it was all grown up.
It certainly makes the yard look a lot bigger now that they've opened it up and cleared some of the ground cover off.
Big mound of trees got taken down today. This ground cover, just a mess.
Next up, sod. And this property will have tons of it, literally. Dozens of pallets are standing by as workers put the final grade on the gas easement and then get the ball rolling on the new soccer field. David, this is one good-looking soccer pitch that you have right here. I mean, it looks great.
No, it turned out great.
I don't even want to think about how much you spent on sod because there is a lot of it.
It is a lot. It's about 15,000 square feet, so quite a bit.
But it looks like David will have to buy at least a little bit more sod before all is said and done. This area of the side yard is a perfect example of why sod is usually one of the last things to be done. Picture a crew coming through here, a wheelbarrow, a little bit of rain, and listen. This is what you're left with. This sod is trashed. Obviously, there was a little bit of work that had to be done. This was the only access point, and it just shows how important coordination is. The idea is to do things in the right order, and you won't have to do it again. But doing it again won't be an option for the project's biggest challenge, moving the girls' playhouse from the yard David and Rhonda are leaving across town to the new one. So David, not only does this house have to go up, it's got to go up over the tree, over the fence. I mean, it couldn't be much harder than that.
Only if the houses were closer together, I guess. So.
It's estimated this playhouse weighs about 8,000 pounds, so it's pretty heavy. But they brought in the sky crane this morning, and then they've got these big metal beams that they're going to place under all four corners, where they're going to hook the straps on and lift it up. The tricky part is, once they lift that up, because it's with straps, it's going to start spinning around, and that's when it could get a little tricky, to say the least. David, are you a little nervous? I saw you pacing around
Not really.
out there earlier.
Not really.
You sure?
I'm good.
You're glass half full kind of guy.
That's right.
We've got liftoff. What are you thinking?
I'm wondering if this is going to work or not. Can he pick it up without it swinging over and smashing into the side of the house?
Hindsight's always 20/20.
My half full thing is slipping on me a little.
They've got it in the air, they've cleared the fence and the tree. Now they've got to get it on the trailer that's going to get it to the new house. I don't think that could have gone any better, personally.
No.
Y'all are so good. Y'all are incredible.
The Playhouse is making it down the home stretch right now. Everything's intact. The first 8 miles went fine. Let's see about the last 100 yards.
A machine called a telehandler will take it from here. It can manage loads of 10,000 pounds, so lifting the Playhouse isn't the hard part. Getting it through the mostly finished landscape and into the woods is.
Uh-oh. Pick it up.
All right, we've really had a little snafu here. The machine's stuck. The concrete just got cracked. The grass is trashed. There's an irrigation head, some accent lighting. Here comes Rhonda. I know she's not going to be too happy about it. Rhonda, have you seen the broken concrete driveway, the trashed grass, and the machine is stuck with the house
Look at the
just like
Playhouse
it?
is tilting.
The 11th hour, something had to happen, you know?
A few pieces of lumber are wedged in under the tires. As the telehandler comes down off its stabilizing outriggers, the boards snap under the weight. But the wood provides enough traction for the handler to free itself. And soon, David and Rhonda are directing the final placement of the Playhouse.
You think that's good?
And breathing a 4-ton sigh of relief.
That's why I think it needs to be too.
With his daughter's play area taken care of, David's is up next. In one afternoon, a crew uses plastic interlocking tiles to turn the plain concrete slab behind the garage into a miniature basketball court. When we come back, tips from the landscape architect on using plants to make your home pop.
You may be paying a little bit of a premium, but you get that bigger impact.
And David and Rhonda admit to flying blind when it came to one of the yard's big ticket items.
The water feature was one thing that I didn't have a real good feel for.
What they think now when the finished landscape is revealed. The house took a year and a half to build, but the landscape happened in just 6 weeks. Play spaces were carved out of the woods, an impressive waterfall and pond were tucked in, and an unsightly easement is now a field of dreams for the new homeowners.
You did a lot of things that took this job way beyond your average builder's package, including going large with the plants right from the beginning.
Yeah, that was something that I spoke with David and Rhonda about from the beginning. Instead of using a lot smaller plant material that is going to cost less, yes, but if you go with the bigger plants, you may be paying a little bit of a premium, but you get that bigger impact, and I knew that that was something that they were going to want after waiting, you know, for over a year for the house to be built.
Stephen, this water feature is incredible. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is probably one of my favorite water features that I've ever seen.
Well, I really appreciate that. You know, from the beginning, we had this existing retaining wall, and I could just envision that water coming over and how dramatic that would look.
The views from this spot are amazing.
Yeah, from the patio, you're really nestled into the landscape, and it provides a great foreground for the backdrop beyond. Filtered views to the basketball court, a great view to the Playhouse, which again is in the woods amongst the existing vegetation. That's rare around here, so that's a great feature to be added to this project. And then the gas easement, you know, you got a boulder wall as a foreground and more vegetation beyond as a backdrop, and it makes it a little bit more attractive back there.
That gas easement is actually worth looking at now.
That's right. And the retaining wall was necessary from the beginning in order to create this flat area where the soccer field is right now on the gas easement. It was going to be really important for them for this to be an attractive part of the landscape.
Absolutely.
You know, they're going to be seeing this part of the property from the patio, from the deck. You want to make sure that you're going to be enjoying that for years to come.
David, Rhonda, you guys have got to be psyched that you are finally in your brand new home. It was a long time coming.
You know, a year and a half's a long process, but it turned out absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
Rhonda, what do you think?
You know, we love it. We sit out on the porch every night and just enjoy it so much.
You guys have not one, not two, but 3 Japanese maple for visual interest, a lot of flowering ground covers, all the aquatic life, and the water feature makes a big difference. And my personal favorite, the contorted blue atlas cedar.
I'm glad you know what that is.
Yeah.
You guys, how about this water feature? I remember there was a little bit of back and forth at the beginning, but are you pleased with the way it turned out?
You know, from where Tony started adding an extra water feature, it was supposed to just come over the wall, and Tony added another side thing there so you could have more sound.
You know, the water feature was one thing that I didn't have a real good feel for. I mean, obviously the features outside the basketball court and the soccer area, you kind of know what you're getting.
Right.
Really didn't do a lot of homework on the water feature, so I would say it greatly exceeded our expectations.
The Playhouse is in. Guys, what a day that was.
You know, it was very stressful. It's so tranquil looking sitting here now, but when you think back to that day, there was a lot of stress involved.
But Rhonda, I understand there's still some work that needs to be done.
You know, there is. Because of the covenants of the neighborhood, you still have to paint it to match your home. You can't have something yellow sitting out here.
But it's fully operational as far as tea parties are concerned.
Absolutely, we've had several so far.
I love the way the soccer field turned out.
You know, it turned out great. Obviously, the biggest deterrent to this lot from the beginning was this gas easement. By sodding it, we made that go away. Plus, the other thing we wanted to accomplish was having a space for the kids to come outside and play, not just woods, but also, you know, a nice sodded area where they can play soccer.
Because this is your lawn. You know, there's not much lawn space here. This is the lawn.
This is it. As far as playing outside, this is it.
If we didn't do something out here, we would have had no yard at all for the kids to run around and play in.
I know there's a lot to pick from, but what's your favorite part of the landscape?
Mine would have to be the water feature.
The water feature is a good pick. David, what about you?
You know, we're just so blessed to have a home this nice, but if I had to pick one thing, I'd probably say some of the sports areas. I'm a big sports guy, so either the basketball court or the soccer field would be my favorite.
Good pick.
What about yours, Justice? What would you say?
You know, I like the water feature, like the soccer field, but I really like that well-crafted playhouse. Don't be surprised if you guys wake up one morning and find me out there.
And don't be surprised if you find David next to you.
Well, you guys, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for letting us be a part of it. And thank you for joining us on Groundbreakers. We'll see you next time. You guys, how am I doing? This is my first tea party. Am I doing all right? How do I look? Are you guys sure you don't want to play soccer or basketball? No. Cheers. That's actually really good.